All right, everybody. Hello and welcome back to some more Oceania 7 Key World Cup 2023 action. We've got our third match of the round of 16 coming up, Malaysia versus Argentina. I will be one of your commentators, Toph Daddy, and I am joined here by Silhouesca Els. How's it going?
I'm doing alright. I mean, looking at some of the matches previously, it just goes to show how the different teams kind of stack with each other. Though, if I notice something, like most of the matches as of now have been like among the top 4 seeds versus like around those in the tens range, and this is another one of them. Like Malaysia, if I'm not mistaken, is seed 3, and Argentina should be like seed 14.
Yes, that is correct. Malaysia seed 3, and like you said earlier, we saw the number 1 seeded South Korea match, and also the number 4 seeded China, their match in the round of 16. So lots of high seeds coming out here for the earlier games. But without further ado, we'll get into some Malaysia and Argentina action. Chiwi leading the way for Malaysia, and Lucas leading the way for Argentina. Got the rolls coming out, doubled Bancho chat. Looks like Malaysia did win that roll. So Lucas will ban for Argentina first, followed by Malaysia's ban and pick.
Well, hope you're doing alright, especially considering how I think both teams will do fine. Like both teams are doing good in this kind of map pool, especially early on, and I would certainly be expecting like some really high scores from both teams. And looks like random. Yeah, I don't know. It just seems to me that these lower seeded teams probably like banning random. I mean, this was also the ban that Vietnam had in the previous match.
Yeah, I mean, the map itself is extremely complex, and so it makes sense for the lower seeded teams to want to get that out of the way. Because I would figure that a team like Malaysia would have no issues playing through it, and it's just a matter of like making sure that you're getting the most inconsistent map for that lower seeded team out of the way as a ban.
That is true. And now, I'm not sure what Malaysia is going to be banning. I certainly don't think they're banning LN. Definitely not. That's something that Malaysia is very well known to be good at.
I would agree. I would expect them to maybe ban the Jack pick Prematrix or Prematrix, just to get rid of sorry, that's not the Jack pick. Rain is the Jack pick.
Yes, there we go, Rain.
But that would be my expectation, solely because I think getting rid of like the pure accuracy picks when you're up against a lower seeded team is a strategy I see a lot of high seeds go for.
Well, I think Malaysia would ban probably. Well, I don't think Anemone should be the ban, because Anemone is like more of a delay pick, and I think when it comes to delay maps, I would assume the lower ranked teams, the lower seeded teams, would be the ones having a difficult one.
Oh,
wait a minute.
Another
Colors,
hybrid. Wait. Oh, I guess that makes sense too. I'm not gonna worry about that as a ban.
I don't know. I mean,
the map is so like, it's high risk, high reward, but even for a team like Malaysia, it can be really, really difficult to be consistent on it. So I think that makes perfect sense as a ban. But that is going to be the 2 bans, 2 hybrids getting out of the pool, and we'll see the first pick of a Daisuke coming out from Malaysia here. You already said that you didn't expect them to ban LNs, and they're proving you right by just going straight into them.
Yeah, I mean, like, when it comes to the faster LNs, I would definitely expect Malaysia to just hack it like it's nothing. I mean, Chiwi is definitely one of the best LN players. Like, if you think Chiwi's 4K act is up there, what about his 7K act? Like, his 7K LN, I think, is probably like more dominant than it is on 4K, I'd even say.
I'm not sure if I would call it more dominant than in 4K, mostly because I think there's a few players in 7K that I think could match up to Chiwi in terms of that in 7K, whereas in 4K there's not as many. But regardless, it's still ridiculous accuracy, and it's nothing that you wouldn't expect out of Chiwi in the first place.
Yeah, that's true. But like, it's really interesting to see how these four players would match up with each other. I actually think that Argentina, if they're able to capitalize on, at least I would think Neok's Ellen accuracy discrepancy. I do think that Neok's Ellen might be held back a little. But the good thing is this is OD6, so I don't think it would be that bad, or a little bit lower.
Yeah, and we're already seeing some major drops of accuracy coming out from the Argentinian side. Both of the players at lower 99%, whereas Chiwi, 99.93. What else would you expect? And Neo not too far behind at that 99.5, but it looks like the accuracies are starting to build up from Argentina as the map gets a little more consistent.
That's true, and oh my goodness. Oh wait, that's a very uncharacteristic. I don't even know how to say that. Uncharacteristic.
Uncharacteristic miss, but it is traded back by Lucas, and then Leon Cat added another miss for Argentina, so it's not going to matter too much for Malaysia there.
That's true, but wow. I mean, even if like Chile missed, I don't think it matters. As if you think about it, the lead that you see right now is just way too big for Argentina to be able to scrape, unless we see a lot of misses from Malaysia's end. And unfortunately, we do see another miss from Leon Cat.
Yeah, and I mean, even despite that miss, I think Chiwi is still has a higher score than Neo, who's holding the full combo. So that miss really did not matter in the end. But all four players holding on to the 99 still right now as we get into that break section before the final chorus. And everyone's sort of bringing their combos back up. Lucas and Chibi almost back up to the 2000s, and Leon Cat just getting into 4 digits. But the accuracy is real, the big kicker here, where Malaysia's just showing their absolute dominance on the long node side of things.
Yeah, that's true. And I gotta say though, it looks like Leon is the one who's able to hold in the only full combo out of these 4 players. The thing about Neokja is, I don't think the accuracy might be as strong as someone like Chibi, but the combo game is what really sets Neokja apart from everyone.
Oh yeah, Neo definitely showed that last year. They had pretty much a vice grip on combo, but that is going to be a full combo from Neo. But a 990,000 scoreline from Chiwi with 1 slider break.
Look at that ratio as well. 237 to 3688. That's normally a ratio you'd see in a 4K LN map, not a 7K LN map.
I might have to take my words back about Chiwi's hack not being dominant enough in 7K. I need to check other players with that.
Yeah, see, here's the thing. Like, the thing about 4K is there's so many players that can get 990 and whatsoever, but in 7K you barely see that happening, especially on long nodes, which is why I made the case that Chiwi's LNs are much more dominant in 7K than in 4K.
And there comes the first pick coming out of Argentina. It's going to be Rain. I said that this might be a good map to ban on the Malaysian side, and we're seeing Argentina come at it right away, looking to at least try to push the lower physical requirement, higher accuracy requirement map right away.
Yeah, that's true. I mean, the thing about maps like this is like you tend to get really, really good accuracy, but like a lot of misses. And like you'd expect 1 great and then like 10 misses on a map like this. Like that's not really something surprising for maps like this, especially considering how difficult it can be to hit chords on 7K, since it could really be confusing.
Yeah, absolutely. And I think this map does something different than most of the Jack maps in previous 7K World Cups did, where it has a pretty heavy focus on anchors. And I think anchors in 7K especially can be extremely challenging.
Alright, well, here we go. I'm expecting really high accuracies all across the board, but it's really based on who's the more consistent player when it comes to that.
Yeah, accuracy's having some regular 300s, straight about just because of the little bit lack of consistency in the rhythms there, but we're into the actual Jags here, and those accuracies are starting to mellow out. Chibi holding on to a 99.97, O-Tense just behind at the 99.94, followed by Neo at just 99.9, Lucas behind, but still very strong accuracies. Malaysia holding on to the slight advantage for now.
I mean, slight is the right word. O-Tense is holding higher accuracy than Neokja is right now. but it's really that difference between Chiwi 10 and Lucas, which honestly Lucas is holding really really well for what it's worth. It's just you're up against two players who I think have been really really experienced, especially in the 7K scene for super long already, so the accuracy is definitely no surprise.
Absolutely, but it looks like Neo is starting to catch up to 010th here. Just 1/100% behind, so it really is just that difference between Lucas and Chiwi right now, which is only 0.1%, less than 0.1% now, as there's a slight drop from Chiwi and Lucas starts to build it up in the swing section. But we only have one chorus left, and I think there might need to be a pretty big choke from the Malaysian side, either a miss or a rush of accuracy. But that's a miss from the Argentinian side instead, and now Malaysia is running away with it.
I mean, running away, yeah, that's true, but that's only one miss from 010th. I don't think it's an impossible lead to come back from. Chiwi is kind of dropping some accuracy, so there's still a lot of hope. But the consistency from the Malaysians are really, really showing right now. And Lucas finding a drop, I unfortunately think that could seal the deal.
Yeah, I don't think there's enough time to come back here, even with a miss or two from the Malaysian side. Should be enough to hold on to their lead, and they'll make it a 2-0 game with the first breakpoint of the match.
That's an insane. Wow, 97 and 99. Double digits here, and 010th was like only 300 shy of that. I mean, if you were to think about it, the ratios from Argentina aren't even that far behind Malaysia's.
Yeah, I think a total of like 40-ish 300s behind. So definitely not the furthest away, but those misses definitely proving to be deal breakers for that map. And Malaysia will have their pick of the litter here. I would expect more long notes to come out, but I don't know which one they would prefer to go with. Probably maybe the one that's a little bit more on the density side. The long note 3 map, Wake Me Up, just because that one's a little bit more complex in terms of its patterning, though there is some weirdness with that and can definitely trip a lot of people up, so I could see either one coming out.
Yeah, we're just gonna wait for what Malaysia picks. I honestly think Malaysia's gonna save LN1 for like the last pick, for later on.
And there comes LN3, Wake Me Up as the next pick. Like I said, you might be right. They're just saving that LN1 for the later pick. They will have at least one more pick in this match, but I mean, in their perfect world, they would only have one more map to pick in this match and finish this up pretty quickly. But Argentina will have something to say about that. We'll have to see what they end up going with after this, but gonna have to perform on this long note map if they want to continue their dominance in this match so far.
Okay, well, you did say something about this being more complex, right? I would kind of be inclined to think that the more complex it is, the more advantage Malaysia would have against Argentina. As if I were to choose a more proficient LN team, at least very early on, I would actually kind of argue that Malaysia would be like just on par, especially with teams like South Korea, when it comes to LN dominance, like in the 7K scene.
Potentially, but here we go into map number 3 out of a possible 9. Malaysia's second pick in this map. Really slow kind of map, but has some pretty complicated shield patterns and like just a mixture of that density and coordination that can be really hard to handle for a lot of players. And we're already coming out of the gate with a slight accuracy advantage just off of Leon Cat's drops there. Luke is actually having a better performance than Neo right now, but Leon Cat with a miss and below the 99% range, but the miss is traded by Neo, so that will not matter as much as the accuracy has.
It's kind of surprising, actually. I did mention like a little bit ago that Nyok is the person you expect to just hold the combos, but then again, 7K combo is certainly a very difficult thing to maintain. Like, the more fingers you have to press, the more independence that is required. And as of this moment, it looks like it's going to be Actually, this is the closest I've seen so far, other than, of course, Rain.
Yeah, it's pretty close, but just as we say that, Leoncat does find another miss and increase that lead. The only player below that 99% range right now. Lucas doing their best to keep up with the accuracy. A little bit behind Chibi, but still ahead of Neo, and holding the full combo. So it's kind of a battle between Leoncat and Neo right now, but Neo is winning that battle as we get into the last quarter of the map.
It is true. Lucas definitely has an advantage against Neokche, but Leoncat unfortunately is still a little bit behind. I mean, you can't really blame them. These Ellen patterns are not the easiest to hit, especially with the time signature that you have to be wary of as well.
Absolutely, and that's pretty much the end of the map, and it looks like Malaysia will take that 3-0 lead over Argentina here, and it will move back to Argentina's next pick, looking to put away the brooms, kick the brooms out of Malaysia's hand, get at least 1 point in here before anything else. But I assume they would end up going for another Rice pick, or maybe I could see them going for the consistency hybrid pick, because there's plenty of opportunity for misses in that. And if you feel confident in the accuracy, then I don't think that would be a bad pick. But Primatrix is going to be the choice, the chord stream stamina-esque pick in this pool.
Yeah, I mean, Primatrix, it seems like, considering that Rice is the picks, another thing I've noticed is the lower seeded teams tend to pick something more Rice oriented, at least in comparison to the higher seeded teams, which I think makes sense considering like what we mentioned a while ago about lower seeded teams being a little bit less rounded compared to their higher seeded counterparts.
Yeah, I think in general for a stage like this too, long note maps can be a lot more volatile than Rice picks. And I think for a high seeded team, volatile picks are going to be very good in this kind of round where you can take advantage of the skill gap. But for lower seeded teams, you want the less volatile ones to maybe catch the higher seeded teams on a little bit of a bad run and hold on to as good of a scores as you can.
That's true. And right now, as of this moment, I am currently seeing that both Leoncat and Lucas having a great start so far. In fact, matching the ones that Malaysia's having right now. But some more work has to be done. Like, you can have a great start, yes, but consistency is key. If you're able to keep that, then you're essentially golden and might have a chance of taking this pick.
Four full combos throughout this first quarter of the map. Slight accuracy lead for Malaysia, but these accuracies are actually very close together. Lucas and Neo matching each other. Leoncat just about 0.2% behind Chiwi. But this is the kind of map, like I said, where taking advantage of mistakes from your opponent is exactly what those lower seeded teams want. And Argentina is putting themselves in a position to do just that.
Yeah, that is true. And like everyone is still keeping their full combos intact. And right now we're at the break section. So luckily there will be like some sort of sigh of relief that you've gone through some of the hard parts and now you just have to try and hope for an opportunity to come, which could arrive anytime soon. But look at Chiwi's accuracy right now despite all of those difficult patterns here. And we got some sort of core jack part, and here we go, the last difficult section is gonna arrive.
Yeah, very two-handed in this section here, but a lot denser than what we were seeing before. Accuracy's not really changing across the board. Everyone's staying put, staying very, very consistent. That lead for Malaysia is rising just a bit, but Leoncat with a miss is going to help that lead for Malaysia. And honestly, with the map like this and how it's been going, we're approaching the end, and I think that might be the nail in the coffin, and another miss is definitely going to do it, and Malaysia will end up taking another breakpoint here.
Yeah, I think that's gonna do it, and unfortunately, it is going to be 4-0. Oh my goodness, that team score for Malaysia is absolutely terrifying.
10,000 off the maximum.
1 and 2 200s. that is like lower than the like lowest honor count. Like,
Also, that ratio from Chiwi.
like hello, how is this even possible? Like, I sometimes forget how good Chibi is at like acting even on 7K.
Yeah, not to discount the other side. I mean, Lucas has 4 200s, already very impressive on that. Leon Cat a little bit behind at 15, but still very impressive scores from all around. And Chiwi going for the last pick for Malaysia. Anemone looking for the speed pick, not even going for Long Note 1.
Man, I was like, yeah, they're gonna save the LN1. Looks like I'm wrong, but hey, now that I think about it, I think this is actually a really good pick for Malaysia, considering how Argentina has been showing to miss at times and also a little bit worse on the accuracy side. So I'd say that this is definitely the one rice pick that Malaysia would want to choose over all of the other choices.
I think I'd agree with that. And it looks like these might be the 4 players that are staying in for it. 4 players we've been seeing for most of the maps here. Neo and Chiwi for Malaysia, Leon Cat and Lucas for Argentina. Those 2 players on Argentina looking to do everything they can to stop Malaysia from sweeping them, but Malaysia looking to get this match over with as fast as possible on Anemone with that, and a very short map too, so misses are going to be very important here.
Yeah, that is true. See, the thing about delay maps is these are like maps where you could probably cheese your combo out of it, but the accuracy is really going to be the big question here. If you're able to keep that accuracy while holding that combo, then that certainly would pay dividends. But once again, it's really going to be difficult to maintain that high level accuracy when it comes to a map like this.
It absolutely is, especially with how like you said that there are very cheesable patterns. There was that swapped staircase where we see a miss from Leon Cat, but for the most part, it can be pretty hard to like change that like function in your brain that's telling you to not cheese some of the patterns when they're they have that like two-handedness. We do see a trade from Neo and Leon Cat, so not going to be too big of a deal, but the accuracy definitely in favor of Malaysia right now.
That is true, and right now, it's looking like that one miss from Nyoxia doesn't really matter, considering that the accuracy lead is pretty significant on Nyoxia's end in comparison to Leon Cat's. However, that is a one miss trade for both of them, so the door hasn't exactly been shut. There's still some chances, assuming that a team miss from Malaysia happens, but it doesn't look like it's gonna happen. Like, look at that unstable rate from Chile. It's really, really stable compared to like almost everyone in the lobby, I'd say.
500 BPM burst coming up here. No one messed it up, but we're just getting into the end, and it looks like that might end up being it just off the back of that score from Chiwi. 99.7.
Oh my goodness, 99.87 on a map like this. That is very, very insane. I think this would also be a V1SS indeed. And wow, look! Oh my goodness, look at the score from
style.
That's true. I mean, look at the score from Lucas though. Beating Nyoxia in fact on the consistency game, which is really impressive, I'd say. Leon Cat's score is also a great one. It's just kind of unfortunate that those misses happen, and also at the same time, they were just up against Malaysia, which is already known to be one of the top 7K countries in the whole world.
Yeah, I mean, top 3 last year. It's a big wall to try and climb, and unfortunately, Argentina was not able to do it today. But despite that, Argentina is not knocked out of the tournament with that loss. They will move down to the losers bracket, while Malaysia will continue their lives in the winners bracket. And I don't believe the opponents for either of these teams have been determined yet.
Yeah, that's true. I mean, hey, this is the first match, so of course the loser of that will still go to the losers bracket. And I'd say it's certainly not over yet for Argentina. Although they have to be careful, as it looks like their opponent is going to be the loser between Spain and Thailand. And you already know how scary of a country both of those are, right?
Those are 2 very scary countries to see as your potential opponents. Even for Malaysia in the winners bracket, seeing either Spain or Thailand as your future opponent is very scary. So, winner of that match will see Malaysia in the winners bracket. Loser will move down to the losers bracket and join Argentina for the quarterfinals.
But yeah, I think that's it for the both of us. I mean, the next match is still gonna be 6 hours from now. Hope that y'all stay tuned and just mark your calendars and whatever, and hope that you all will enjoy it as well. I mean, Toph, I mean, this is your country. I'm sure you gotta support them, right?
Oh, I guess it is my country, I suppose. I haven't played for the United States in a while, but they're my boys. I love them. I hope to see them perform really well, but Chile is not an opponent you want to take lightly in any kind of World Cup. So it's going to be interesting to see. I'm excited for the match. I hope all of you are excited for the match as well. We'll be back at 22 UTC to show off the United States versus Chile, followed by Brazil versus Canada. We hope to see you guys there.